Hello, one for the build guide, I guess video-ish you want to call this thing, of the, I probably would call this more like the low mid-budget version. More like mid, I would guess, because of the fracture items. But I'm pretty much, this is the build I use to pretty much farm, pretty much I was, pretty much what I use to farm the headhunter, and roughly I would say a couple of days, give or take. Mainly doing the strategies I put out in the last videos, between like ritual, expedition, all the delirious maps we did on the Crimson Temple maps. So pretty much like just going over that build, because I'm gonna do pretty much up. I'm not gonna make too many more changes to this build anymore. The only change I'm gonna do is replace the belt with a headhunter, drop the inspire learnings, recraft any of the probably this ring because this ring has nothing on it. Recraft the ring to intelligence, and then just use this to farm up the last like 60 divines I need for the mage blood, and then I'll sell the headhunter and go mage blood for the next build. But just one quick update on how this build is. So I'm not sure who the original owner of this build is. I don't know if it's Rutu. I don't know if it's Tripolar. Or I don't know if it's before them. I have no idea. But it works very well. It's not that much of a budget build at all. So Poet's Pen is pretty much like, I would say, the starting weapon before you upgrade to the Convoke Wand plus 2. Forget this every time. Convoke Wand plus 2, and minions damage and like multi-mod and stuff like that for more damage. Dot multi and stuff like that. But that's like the expensive version. So Poet's Pen is the base version, so you don't have to actually cast this. So it's an easier option. But pretty much it's a Reap with Extinguinate and Brutality support for both of these. So pretty much it just triggers Extinguinate and Reap nonstop. So whenever you're casting, you can see them going off on their own. So it's less buttons you gotta press. Helmet. So pretty much helmet, rings, and boots are all fracture bases. This is, I would say, go for the fracture bases if you have currency. If you don't want to go chaos res, which I would recommend though, but if you don't want to and want to go with fracture spell suppression instead, that's an option too. Chaos res is just nice because of all the chaos damage, especially with poison and desecrated ground and stuff like that. But like endgame or upgrade versions of those, we'll talk about at the end. But pretty much the helmet, it's trash. It's really just fracture chaos res, and I just spam this thing to get any resistance pretty much with intelligence, because your build will starve. Intelligence and dex you're gonna have a lot of problems with in the build. Just to give you a heads up in advance. And then pretty much your intelligence is pretty much only for the KB to upgrade it to get the 155 intelligence. But pretty much like the mods on there to like the attack damage and AoE is not even good. It's just whatever ended up with after a couple. I ran out of currency. In here it's pretty much life tap. Let me do this fast. Dash D. I just made a lot of compasses, so probably gonna be whispering for those. So life tap, frost blink for movements and faster attacks, and shield charge. Pretty much shield charge and frost blink go together pretty well. Shield charge around, hit a frost blink here and there, keep going faster and faster, and also leave a chill ground in the area, which might help a little bit. But it's a pretty nice movement combination. If you don't like shield charge or if you don't like frost blink, you can replace it. It's just there. Pretty much the shield is for now is just a +1 all fizz with the minion damage on it, because minion damages, which on the tree I'll show you, replies to us also. So minion deal more damage means that we deal more damage. And then pretty much on here, it's pretty much, I just fossil spam this until I got resistance. And pretty much resistance and minions deal more damage. That's all I look for. So pretty much this shield alone gives us 81% more damage along with 2 resistance. So it works for the time being until you want to upgrade this, like, you know, more block and stuff like that with +1 damage, all that kind of stuff. So pretty much Pride, Herald of Purity, and Malevolence. We'll go here next. So the Amulet is also the same thing, Fracture plus +1. If I was gonna, I'll talk about the upgrades at the end actually. But I guess we're doing it on the way, actually. Let's just do it now. Upgrade this one is going to be pretty much when you do the wand and the necklace go together. So the upgraded necklace is a +2 necklace, which is not going to be cheap. It's pretty much +2 with damage over time, life, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be expensive. That's why I just stick with this one. And I went with Dex just because Dex Starve. And the anointment is just the Economy, I think it's called. The damage over time one. Which I think is located... Where was this one again? Oh, right here. Up here. So it's only black, and clear. So super cheap. I think it's clear. Yeah, black, clear. So it's really cheap to get. Both rings are just Chaos Res with Fracture. This was a Chaos Res, Fracture Res. And this is Chaos Res, Fracture All Res. You don't need rings like these. Any ring can work. I just wanted to get a lot of Chaos Res on this build without anything up. We're at, 91 Chaos Res, so definitely it helps. Is it needed? No. You can maybe drop one of the Amethyst rings and change it, but just want to make sure you have good Chaos Res with this build. If you're going with the Timeless Jewels and stuff. But like these are both rolled pretty bad. They're just pretty much essence banned with Dex and whatever else goes with it. Chest piece, Skin of Lords for the +2. 3 red, 2 green, 1 blue. Pretty much in here for now it's Blood Rage, Empower, Efficiency, Swift Affliction, Brutality, and Corrupting Fever. There is no... I don't have the alternate... the Awakening gems yet for like Brutality and Swift Affliction for more damage. Been lazy on it. And pretty much right now I'm using Resolute Technique to save me 1 skill point. If you don't want to use this, there's like 3 options that work pretty well. So Resolute Technique works really well. You also have Call to Arms works really well. Another option too that works is... It's over here if I recall correctly. Let me just type it in. I think you spell like... Okay, I found it now. So this one works also, Magebane. This one gives you a lot of... Instead, because you don't have the invasion then, which, you'll lose your invasion, but you'll gain a lot of spell suppression. I think it's like 15 to... Anywhere between 50 to 20% more spell suppression. I mean, if I did that now... On mine... I mean, it would only give me like a 12% more spell suppression, but 12%, I mean, anything will help you with spell suppression, especially because when you go with this, you're pretty much switching your build to go Chaos Res, Spell Suppression, Element Immunity. Like, you'll get a lot of defense when you go to Magebane. But like, those are 3 I would look for on your chest piece if you're trying to buy it. Magebane, Call to Arms, or Resolute Technique are the 3 that work very well. Yeah, I would go with those 3 to be honest. So like those 3 work. And the upgraded version of that chest piece, you're actually changing all your colors on it. When you get the wand and the necklace change, you actually drop the Blood Rage in your chest piece and replace it with Reap. So you just gotta redo your colors when you get to that point. But overall, the chest piece is pretty cheap, even with the change colors. You can, if you don't want to go Poet's if you just want to have the new chest piece to be ready to go, you can. Blood Rage is nice though, because it does help overall. Boots, pretty much, same thing. Fracture, Chaos, and then, life, resistance, movement speed, get whatever you can get to help you. And on here, I went with regen 0.2% life per endurance charge, since you always have endurance charges up with this build. It's always this life regen. And I went with damage, also endurance charge. If you cannot afford 50% chance to avoid shock jewels, you can also go for avoid shock or avoid all elements on your boots too, to replace that. If you can't go 50-50, you can do that for the time being instead. I forget which one it is, but you can do that instead to save. I think it's damage though, but that's always an option too to get around. Stygian Vice, it's pretty much just intelligence, life, resistance. That's it. The Jewel, I'll talk about the jewels at the end. Hemophilia gloves, if you until you can afford the cursed enemies on vulnerability ones, just use plain ones. They work just as well. I farmed the rusted and polished videos, I believe, are without the vulnerability on hit gloves. Polished one might have it on there, but I know the rusted one for sure didn't. The build works just as well. You might be a little bit slower on bosses, but you definitely don't need the vulnerability. If you don't have it on here, you can go to vulnerability on hit ring. You can put in one of your spots on here if you don't want to run. Like if you don't want to run like the maybe like the faster attack, something like that up there. So you have options to put it somewhere. I forgot to on the boots. Enduring Cry, Molten Shell, Cast Damage Taken, and War Banner. Yeah, because on the gloves, it's pretty much your anonymous KB, GMP, Life Tap, and main. If you do not have the anonymous KB, don't run main yet. Just make this a Pierce. Because anonymous KB has Pierce built into it pretty much. So you don't need the Pierce gem. But if you're running a regular KB, just go GMP, Light Tap, and Pierce. If you have anonymous, Pierce becomes main. That's pretty much what it is. Trying to think what else. Eventually you upgrade the gloves also, but I think that's like future later. Flasks, I just pretty much went for, onslaught, evasion. You have a jade for, for attack speed with attack speed on it. Your bleed and got the blood life flask like always. Your armor flask for more armor, and movement speed with movement speed. That's the staple ones everyone uses. It works. So tree, leveling with this build, use your steel skills. They work very well. I believe, top of my head, I think it's lab 1, lab 2, lab 3, and lab 4. So the tree is pretty straightforward, going for down this way, going over here, life wheel with life. Over here you have a jewel slot with you have 2 jewel. You can have like 3 or 4 jewels. Pretty much like damage over time, fizz damage, global damage, life, all that kind of stuff works very well. Minion damage even. So go for that kind of stuff with the jewels and just get whatever you can afford. +1 frenzy endurance. Your whole endurance charge thing, because your endurance charge stacking with this build a little bit. Your mana reservation cluster. Large cluster. This one, they're really cheap, like under 100 chaos, give or take. But there's like a force multiplier, Iron Breaker, and fundamentals. Pretty much force multiplier for more damage, and Iron Breaker for more damage. And then another jewel slot, which I would take when I go either another level or when I drop the Inspire Learnings. And right here, same thing as the other one. This is life, global fizz with damage over time. Call to Arms, life. Where you at? Here you are. So Inspire Learnings, I would recommend Inspire Learnings makes the build feel a lot better. I recommend this until you get Headhunter. And then, like, these 2 points here are definitely not needed. This is more part of the leveling, just to inflict bleed faster and more chance to cause bleed. This 1 point up here I would take for 15, but these 2 points can go. I've been lazy on it. And then, like, I probably get rid of these, like, your endurance charge here. You have more reduced life cost of skills, which is nice because you spend a lot of life on your 63 life on this. This is like over 2,000. More armor, reduced damage, more life. Another cluster jewel. Up here, this one's battle hardened, force multiplier, master of the fundamentals. Pretty much, fizz damage, armor, all res, reduced damage taken, increased damage, or reduced elemental damage, which you don't care about because you only do fizz. So pretty much just increased damage. And then over here, I have a Storm Shroud. This pretty much makes it real easy to go elemental immunity. This is why I was talking about the 50% jewels. So I have 2 of them. One 50% here with life and unholy. And there's another one up here with 50% chance with phasing and life. These jewels are... So this one's not too bad if you want to go unholy. If you don't care about and phasing, it's a pain in the ass to find. If you don't care about to be honest, the phasing and unholy, you don't need them. I recommend just get 50% chance to avoid shock and life. Or if you need a stat, try to get a stat on there too. But I'd probably recommend just going for the 50% and somewhere else start, just so it's only 2 jewels instead of needing 3. Because that's what gives you elemental immunity with the new Storm Shroud. Over here, Thread of Hope with the, or not Thread of Hope, that's next one. We'll do Thread of Hope first then. So Thread of Hope up here, pretty much to get you life, more little chance to block, you know, chance to block. So like I say, it's about going block eventually with these points. And over here, this is the reason why we are using the minion shield, and you eventually would use the Kivoki one, is all because of spiritual aid. Pretty much, this makes it so that all your minion damage on your gear affects you. Without this point, this shield would be useless, Kivoki one useless. That's what gives you a lot of damage, is that point up there. You know, your mana reservation, life. And over here, life, reduce cost of skills. So, Glorious Vanity, take this only when you have max Chaos Res. This is the reason why I went Fracture Chaos Res on all the gear, is so I can get the Glorious Vanity. Because you want to get it with Zapata. Because you're pretty much going for the all damage taken bypasses ES, but also 50% elemental damage taken is taken as chaos damage, and you run 80% chaos res with this build. So that's why you can take Divine Flesh, because it's not a defense layer. And also on there, use the Timeless Jewel Calculator, because you're pretty much looking for this one. So you're looking for Fizz damage Leech's life. It's another Leech. You pretty much want it. Leech is pretty much your main way of staying surviving with this build, and gives you damage too. I have a Timeless Jewel that has it on 3 times, so I have it twice here, and I have it 1 time here. The 1 time here I'm not gonna go for. Maybe this would be like more like a future thing for 4 points though. It's a lot of points, so I'm not sure. But like these, like it's nice to have the double there just for the extra damage. Do you need 2 of these? Even 3? Not at all. One of them works just. I would recommend just getting 1. You can also get up here too if you can. So you have pretty much like these 2 spots and this spot are the 3 I would look at if you're doing this. Because all 3 of these spots are 1-pointers, and they're what you would want. Even the spot up here too you can look at. Never mind, you can't that one. So it's pretty much this one, and this one are your 1-pointers. So I guess it's like it's just barely outside the border. But like those 3 spots, look at those for the Leech and stuff, and you have no problem. It should be real easy to find, especially with this slot up here I forgot about. Even if you want to find 2, with that spot, it shouldn't be hard to do at all. I think that's everything for the tree. Tree looks good. Let's run a map real fast, even though I showed a bunch of them already. We'll just keep doing what I always do. Harby. Yeah, good enough for me. So let's show a map real fast. But yeah, it's pretty easy to playstyle. It's pretty much just you hit your Corrupted Fever, you hit your Blood Rage, and you just go. And then because once you hit it once, it should last roughly, I would say, most of the map. Want to talk about so pretty much mods that I would avoid is you do not want to do Fizz Reflect, you cannot Leech, and no Regen. Those are probably the 3 I would recommend staying away from. Those are probably the worst for the build to run. Because like Leech is your main survivability defense, no Regen is just annoying, doable, just not worth the time. And Fizz, you do only Fizz damage. You can do elemental damage this build, no problem. Because you run the brutalities. Oh, that's that one for them. But yeah, so the build's weakness, I would say, the build's very good at mapping like this. You can see it goes through no problem. Probably much better with the Headhunter and stuff like that. One of the big problems though this build runs into is boss damage. Single target, the build is absolutely poopy where I'm at now. It's not strong. It's definitely needs upgrade. I tried doing the Essence Sextant with this build. That was a mess. Sanctums, at the current version, you're not going to full clear Sanctums well at all. So if you want to run Sanctums, I would not recommend this build unless you want to actually upgrade it with the weapon and stuff. then you probably can do it. But at the current version, it's not at that point. But it did what I wanted to do. It's a low budget. I spent, I don't know, 10, 15 divines on this whole build, and I farmed pretty much what I wanted with the build, to where I'm gonna pretty much I'm gonna equip the Headhunter now, drop the Inspire Learnings, redo any gear I need to with resistance and stats and stuff, and then use the Headhunter to farm out the last 60 divines I need to switch the Headhunter into the Mageblood. But then when I get to that point, I'm gonna sell the build off and then go on to the actual build I'm preparing to make next. So I'm not gonna make an update video also on the Headhunter version, just because there's no point. It's pretty much plug the Headhunter in, fix your attributes, res, and go. Also, without Inspire Learnings, I did not test it. I started this build with Inspire Learnings, so I don't know how it feels. I'm pretty sure it still works very well. It's going to feel a lot slower because you don't get to steal the buffs, which the buffs are really nice to do. But you definitely don't need it. But with how cheap they are, I would recommend just buy one. They're like 1 divine or less now, so there's no, they're not expensive at all. You can even run 2 on this build if you somehow can afford it. Also, I gotta redo my flute filter after this too. I gotta start putting up these singles, what do I call them? Simulacrum splinters. The one splinter is not worth picking up anymore. Oh, yeah, and also be careful of stuff like, what is it, like Harbingers with this build. It's extremely rippy. You will just randomly die with this build. It's gonna happen. Happened to me a lot. What kills you half the time? I have no idea. When Kozilek shows up, it sucks. You can kill Kozilek easily, but the problem is he's extremely rippy. Especially because you get hit really hard when they hit you. That one, I guess. This way? So that's rituals in the boss room. Sure. As long as they don't take meteors, these maps are not that bad either. It's not in here, actually. Meteors suck with this build. Where is this last ritual? I don't know where it's at, so I'm just gonna call it here. I mean, it's somewhere in here. I'll look for it later. But that's pretty much the build. I just wanted to show the build off. I mean, it does well. It did exactly what I wanted to do. Pretty much farmed the Headhunter with this build. But I'm ready to upgrade this build, farm the last of the divines I need for Mageblood, and then start playing the build I'm actually looking forward to farm Simulacrum Sanctums, since I have not even killed the 4th floor yet boss, or even the final boss yet, which I want to start doing to try to find the, to start farming relics, which could be a lot of fun to do. But, hope you liked the video. If you like to see, subscribe below, come on Twitch. If there's any questions, put in the description below. I'll link the POB. I think it should be the same POB as my other 2 videos though, so it should be the same, no difference. But hope you liked the video. I'll see everyone on the next one. Bye everyone.